Urban Media Today talks sports with Ray Porter Jr., Vince Butts, and Trevin A Jones on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's game time!
Urban Media Today talks sports. We got my man Ray Porter Jr. See, I didn't say my name first this time, gentlemen. Ray Porter Jr. Got my man Coach William Grege Hoyd Jr. playing for envelopes. We got two special guests on this show today. We have Mr. Kenn Rashad, HBCUsports.com. We're going to get all into that in a second because this brother has been around for a minute. Not that he's old, but he's just been around for a while. And then we're going to have Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. He's going to join the show today, too. So if you can't tell by now, you know we're going to talk about HBCU sports, as well as with the rest of the sports world like we always do. Ken, what I'm going to do first, we're going to let you talk about yourself and talk about HBCUsports.com. But first, Coach, I want you to talk about playing for envelopes because you're on here every week, and we really don't get a chance to talk about playing for envelopes too much. So go ahead and start off talking about playing for envelopes. As you can see, your website is right up there on the screen. Tell folks what's going on.
Oh, man, I'm flattered, man. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to give a shout out. So, again, my name is Coach Grege Hoyd. I'm the founder of a national recruiting platform where I help identify high school athletes for colleges. And the same thing for high school athletes, I identify colleges that offer scholarships. And so I'm a middleman. And so what I do is I scour the country to partner with families when coaches call me needing a receiver, needing an outside hitter, needing a goalie, a catcher. And so what's happened is organically I've taken off and I've done over $600 million in scholarships. I have 13 players in NFL, players all over the country, players getting drafted in the NBA this year. So I've been really blessed and fortunate to take families from not knowing how the recruiting process to not knowing that HBCUs are Division I and giving them an opportunity to first and foremost save hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition and then pursue a student has to pursue their academic career and graduate debt-free. That's my biggest joy. I have many athletes around the country that call me back. They're working as doctors, as lawyers. They're family men. They're given opportunities to graduate and have wealth, especially the African American athletes. It's no greater joy. I do this for free, but again, it's an opportunity for me to find a niche market, be very disruptive to the market because people always ask like, what how do I find a scholarship? How does it work? And I'm able to kind of come in and find a need and fill it. I played football at Ole Miss, and fortunately enough, somebody knew my dad and had the opportunity to go to Ole Miss and play football. I'm from California, and so that was a big thing to go from California to Oxford, Mississippi during 1992. But again, I'm very fortunate to have a platform like this and to have families believe in me. I know I've had a lot of my guests on here, having some high-profile clients, David Justice, Rocket Ishmael, a lot of other of my, very famous, influential athletes that they're using me. I've had doctors pick me up on private planes, just to talk about recruiting. So it's been a great platform.
Wonderful. Awesome. Coach William Grege Hoyd Jr. playing for envelopes. So we're coming out with some fire because we go from one noob to the other. I had to put that out there just for respect for the brotherhood. You got brother Kenn Rashad, both brothers from Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Much respect coming from the beginning to the noobs. But anyway, Kenn Rashad with HBCUsports.com. Now, the interesting thing about that, and I'm going to let Ken talk for a second because Ken has been around for a while. And what I mean by that is on the website platform, he'll tell you in a second, but he started out back in the day and was one of the first as far as HBCU sports coverage on this platform is concerned to get it going. Welcome, Ken. Go ahead and talk about HBCUsports.com if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, HBCUsports.com is a comprehensive sports information website that covers all HBCUs. Our beginnings, we did start from humble beginnings in which it began in the late 90s, in which we solely covered the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And at that time, it was known as the SWAC page. And over that time, we evolved from the SWAC page to being known as TSPN Sports, to eventually establishing the name that we are known now as HBCU Sports. This is, I think, unique, and I think there's a lot of untold history, and it's actually one of the things that I've talked to a couple of people who have been following us since that time, that there's a lot of history about this website that has actually had an impact in the greater that's kind of overlapped into our everyday day-to-day lives. And I'm going to actually begin a series of stories that people may not be aware of. But I mean, this is a platform that has literally resulted in people meeting, getting married, starting families. I mean, it is that big. It's resulted in people networking and finding new jobs, establishing new careers. It has resulted in breaking news type situations. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of view it as one of the initial forms. The message board is obviously still one of the most popular forms on the website. But I kind of view it as basically one of the foundations to social media as we know it right now.
And I love it because you're being humble, brother. You and Eric Moore, Mr. Eric Moore with Onedin, I believe he was the first, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually, with being the first, and I know you worked with him too.
Yeah.
People actually go to Onedin and hbcusports.com for information. I'm going to tell you, everybody that covers it, Ken might not say it because he's being a humble brother, but I know for a fact that, you know, when you have people covering Black college football, you have people covering HBCU anything, they'll check those two websites for information to see what's going on, either for one of two things, either to get the information or to make sure the information they have is correct. So I'll put that out there, even if Ken doesn't say it. That definitely has been part of the foundation for the coverage of HBCU sports. And I'm loving it. And we're going to have Dr. Cavil join us as well later in the show. You know, we play 15-minute quarters here. This is the first quarter. Trevin A Jones along with Ray Porter Jr., Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr., and Brother Kenn Rashad. We're going to talk sports today, gentlemen. And we are going to talk HBCU sports. That's Ken's forte. And when Dr. Cavil joins us too, and I'm an HBCU sports fanatic. I mean, I am just, like right now, I'm looking at Twitter. And Ken, I'm looking at Alex Hines with HBCU Videos Sports Channel. Incredible. Because he'll go back and get some of the old football games, and he's actually gotten footage. Have you ever had a challenge with trying to get that football footage?
No, but I'm aware of Alex's work, and you know, to this day, I'm amazed that he's able to get some of the games that we, you know, that back in the day we used to just talk about, you know,
right?
and you know, you talk about certain situations, you talk about what maybe a particular play or a particular player. And in which, you know, we would describe these players in terms of what we witnessed or what we knew about them during their days as a collegiate athlete. Alex has been able to provide basically provide the proof in the pudding, and that, you know, the players that we used to talk about, well, now we've actually got video to support what we used to talk about, and in many instances has you know, again, found a very unique niche that has kind of put him in a situation to where now what he does is greatly appreciated and actually makes the work that I do that much easier.
Yeah, excellent. And some of those, and that's not easy to find that footage. That's why I asked you that question, because like you said, some of that footage is like, okay, so where did that come from and how did he get it? I think I saw one from way back in the day where I think it was Johnson, was it George Johnson and Charlie Ward were covering a football game. So, and that's going way back. It might even be the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Or early 90s?
Probably early 90s, right.
Early 90s. So it's just footage like that, which is amazing. Just to show you what people are doing as far as Black college football coverage, Black sports coverage in general. Gentlemen, we're going to go around, basically. I'm going to jump from place to place, but right now, I just want to get these hot topics in front of you guys and see how you feel about it. Thursday night, the NBA tipped off. I think it tipped off with the Pelicans playing. And did you guys see it?
Was that before the hot wings? Was that before?
Was it before the hot wings? So my question is, though, and I don't know if you guys saw any of the game. I noticed how the spacing was on the bench. There's no fans, but then you have the spacing on the bench where the players aren't like sitting traditionally next to each other. It's like it might be staggered. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I like the fact that they're playing in the bubble, but I like the fact that they actually got something tipped off on Thursday night. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's going to be successful? And do you think we're going to actually be able to complete the season? I'm talking about the NBA finally getting tipped off on Thursday night. Go ahead, Greg. You go first.
Well, I mean, I think that it's just a train wreck ready to happen. I mean,
Really?
I mean, because you just can't control where it come from. The trainers, the food service workers, the wives, the family. Ultimately, all it takes is one outbreak, 2 or 3 guys. I mean, you see what's going on at University of Toledo right now, where they actually had to quarantine half the coaching staff. It's just a train wreck waiting to happen. I mean, I know there are dollars involved. This is a trillion-dollar business, NBA basketball. But again, the safety of the families, the children, those that are connected to the sport, it's going to be a ripple effect. And when it takes off, it's going to take off. Now, I'm pretty sure they're working on the virus shot and the antibodies and asymptomatic people, but it's just a ticking time bomb. That's my thoughts on that.
Good stuff. And what I'm going to do, gentlemen, I'm not even going to give you, Ray, or you, Ken, a chance to answer that question. Why? Because we got Frat in the house, so I got some backup. On 6. Just checked in. And it's Dr. Cavil from inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Doc, what I'd had Ken and Coach Hoyd do was introduce themselves and talk about their brand. So I'm going to give you the same opportunity. It's the first quarter still. We do 15-minute quarters here. So we got about 5 minutes left in this quarter. So Dr. Cavil, I want you to go ahead and talk about inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And when did you start, Doc? When did this start?
The Inside HBC Sports Lab?
Yes, sir.
It started about 7 years ago in its full capacity. But to give you really the original part of it was THG Agency, which started in a lot of ways with a partnership with the other guest you have on here, Kenn Rashad, who where I started a poll ranking, a major division and mid-major division. He got a hold to it, and we were just on the pages of the fringes when he had open dialogue in regards to being able to post information. He said, hey, let me put this as part of the front page. And the rest, in a lot of ways, of history went from just doing a poll ranking to all of a sudden doing radio shows to talk about the poll rankings and other things. And here we are today where we talk about everything HBCU sports, all divisions, both from the NCAA Division I, FCS, Division II, NEIA, and all things in between, large and small. HBCU Sports Talk is what we do.
And that's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. And I like that, Doc, because as I was doing research when I first got started, trying to figure out, people covering and what they covered, the thing I liked about what you were doing was you were one of the only brands that I saw, and I could have missed a couple, but that were covering NAIA as well. And that's what I try to do too. And I thought to myself, man, you can't disrespect the little guy. They got to get some love too. So it's like somebody got to cover him. So I remember when I was working with Ty at Sheridan Broadcasting, and we would do the All-American team, I would always find somebody from Langston that should be on this All-American team. And Ty would look at me and he would say, Trev, he said, Langston? I'm like, Ty, you can only play who's on the field with you, and you can only perform with your peers. So that should not be disrespected in any way, shape, or form. So we used to go through that battle all the time, every year, when we were looking at the SBN Black College All-American team. So I say that to say this, Doc, you were one of the other brands that I would see that actually was covering NAIA and putting them up in the polls and the All-American rankings as well. So respect to you for that. When did you get started? Was it back in the 90s as well?
Yeah, I started from 98,
Okay.
like I said, with the THG, which is more of a consulting company, oddly enough. We started on that side and then phased more into the media side because we saw a hole in the marketplace. And going back, Ken will remember this, when he had the blog pages, that was a huge part of the conversation. at that time and space, you had Tuskegee that was really doing well at the Division II level. You had some conversation about Langston, but Tuskegee happened to play the game against Alabama State, Turkey Day Classic, and they were having their way with them. And they would win the SIAC, and a lot of people thought they should have been black college champions. And they would put their argument out there, and people would have one-sided issue. One, maybe they were all in. Yes, they should be the champions. Then you had another large side of it that FCS saying they would fall out. They would argue to death, and they would be like, they don't play the same competition. There's no way they can be close just because they have 1 or 0 losses. That doesn't compare to a FCS team that has 2 or 3 losses. And I was like, hey, there's an opening. And I was like, why don't we have 2 different classifications? One that is NCAA Division II and NAIA, and the other one is FCS. And the rest, in a lot of ways, is history. And now, in many ways, with my co-hosts, Charles Bishop and Mike Washington, in regards to that, we discussed that framework and try to make sure that we have that demarcation when we talk about HBCU sports in such a way that everybody's included.
Definitely. I like that. And you and I, we're on the different ends of the spectrum there, because I throw everybody in one big bowl. And I'm like, okay, it's just with your record, your performance. I'll put you in the top 10 or I won't. I don't care what division you're in. Everybody goes in one for me. It's the end of the first quarter. As you can see, I have Kenn Rashad, Dr. Cavil, Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr., Ray Porter Jr., and Trevin A Jones. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We're going to come right back after this brief timeout.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.